Ladies and gentlemen, the Kylian Mbappe saga has come to a close. It's full speed ahead to the next chapter. Even though we've got the confirmation of something that we've all known will be inevitable for what seems like years now, we're left with more questions than answers. What does this mean for PSG? No Neymar, no Messi, no Mbappe, no mega superstars. Will this organization finally become a football team? How will Mbappe fit into the culture of his next club, a team that already has a couple of megastars, yet have managed to prevent egos from overrunning the dressing room as it once did? Now, here comes a man that many close to the source claim has sporting director experience. More importantly, what will Emmanuel Macron do about this? It's a mixed bag, which is why we're going to talk about it. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. This video started off as simply a where to from now kind of video from the PSG perspective, but it quickly turned into something a little bit more than that. But before we get into any of that, there is something that we need to say. A player announcing his departure on his own social media platforms is the best way to squash rumors, so I'm happy that he did it that way. And with one of the best goodbye messages too. It seemed sincere, it seemed genuine. Hats off to him and his team. He says a few things in this interview that I found interesting, saying that PSG allowed him to have his first experience at a club with tons of pressure, which is immensely slanderous to 2017 champions Monaco. He confirms he's leaving France, and he goes through a list of all the managers he's had and the board members he's had experiences with, all the way up to Luis Campos and Leonardo. No mention of Nasser Al-Khelaifi and Emmanuel Macron, which is a strange one. If rumors are true, Nasser took that personally, as he usually does. But you didn't hear that from me. As he always has been, Macron's been very vocal on Kylian Mbappe's departure from PSG, from not-so-secret dinners over the years to public outcries on how important he is to the country. He's always had a vested interest in his career trajectory. A day after Mbappe announced that he would be leaving PSG, Macron said that he hoped that Real Madrid allowed Mbappe to go to the Olympics with France. The Olympics will be after the Euros and will likely cut into the pre-season arrangements for most teams. Seeing as Mbappe will be joining a new team, this will be a very delicate moment. A season-defining one, potentially. Also, as a side note, neither Real Madrid nor Kylian Mbappe have confirmed that he will be going over to the Spanish capital, so you know we're in a weird moment in human history when we're getting confirmation of this from the president of France before we get it from Romano. And even though it's extremely strange that the president of the country with the 7th largest GDP on the planet doesn't have anything bigger to worry about than the career of a 25-year-old, it does make sense, in a way. All you have to do is ask the question, how good is Kylian Mbappe? Very, very good. The answer is very good. That's the answer. He's insane and has performed at all levels and is the poster boy for football in the modern era. Terrorizing Manchester City in the Champions League at 17, lifting the World Cup at only 18 while being one of the tournament's star performers, and becoming only the second player in the history of the competition to score a hat-trick in the final 4 years later. The way he moves and his explosive playstyle is far too much for most teams to handle. He's PSG's top goal scorer of all time with 255 goals, 56 more than second-placed Edinson Cavani. He's PSG's best ever player, and I don't think you can argue that at all. And all of that only has to do with his playing ability. There's so much more to unpack when it comes to his overall image and package. He was born in Paris. For that reason alone, he's earned the immediate adoration of the PSG ultras. The PSG faithful have had their issues with players in the past, and most of them have been foreign. A feeling that they are in large part mercenaries coming for a check and nothing else has left many staunch supporters with a bitter taste. Some might point to the fact that he was getting booed on his final game, but honestly, I wouldn't look too much into that. And yes, there are reasons why certain PSG fans may not be the biggest Kylian Mbappe fans. He did kind of use them to get bigger contract between the whole thing with him and Real Madrid over several years, which we'll get into a bit later on. But on the overall, I think most fans can recognize what he's done for this club. I don't think the ones that are booing were representative of the entirety. I don't think at least. And circling back to the Macron front, the reasons for his intrigue in Mbappe's roadmap of course runs far deeper than his ability on the ball. In a way, the destinies of the two have seen a convergence. Mbappe made his debut for the French national team in 2017 and won his first Ligue 1 title a few months later. Macron was elected as the president of the country in the same year. Kylian Mbappe is a symbol for the people of France. He's the defining personality of the current generation. Liberté, égalité, Mbappé. 114 million Instagram followers buys a lot of influence. One might even say more than a president of a country of 67 million, if used correctly. 25 years of age, the best footballer on the planet for many. Speaks fluent French, Spanish, and English. He comes across as highly educated, calm, cool, and respectful when speaking in front of camera. Even when disrespected by journalists, he doesn't retaliate. A fearless figure and impressively squeaky clean. No scandals, no viral stories of fan disrespect, no brand deals with alcohol brands, gambling companies, and the likes. It's important to him that he maintains a certain image in the public eye, and he's even willing to pay the price that comes with standing your ground. During the World Cup, this picture went viral. What we see here is Kylian Mbappe holding a Man of the Match trophy, but there's something that we don't see: a Budweiser logo. Knowing all of this, it shouldn't come as a surprise that even though Macron is a staunch Kylian Mbappe supporter, Mbappe hasn't always shown him the same love when it doesn't suit his own belief system or agenda. Most notably in the presidential elections in 2022, over 50 French sporting personalities branded together to implore for the French public to not vote for Marine Le Pen, the leader of Macron's rival party. This list of stars included the likes of Tony Parker, Marie-José Pérec, Antoine Dupont, Blaise Matuidi, Jean-Pierre Papin, and many more. But it did not include Kylian Mbappe. Now, I don't know too much about French politics, so I'm not going to comment too much further, but what I have been able to see is that this shouldn't necessarily be seen as Mbappe supporting Macron's rival opposition, but rather him just showing an aversion to wanting his name to be associated with politics. Now, again, I don't know too much about the whole situation. I don't even know who he supports, if he supports anyone. If you do and you are a bit familiar with French politics, please let us know in the comments. In any case, the moral of this section of the video was that Mbappe is very much his own man. He always will be, and will likely continue to be. That's the departure of Mbappe from the perspective of France. But what about the perspective of PSG and Ligue 1? I'm just stating the obvious here, but any league that loses its star player has valid reasons to be upset. Ligue 1 already has the lowest TV revenue amongst the top 5 leagues, and this won't help too much. It seemed like just yesterday that all of us were filled with excitement over a team of Lionel Messi, Neymar, and Kylian Mbappe terrorizing France and Europe. The passing of the torch happening in real time. The Champions League was not ready. First, it was just Neymar and Mbappe, who joined about 29 days apart in 2017. The two enjoyed some great moments early on, and it really did look like they were great mates, smiling, laughing, jumping on each other, and the works. But perhaps this was more a result of team dynamics than anything else. When Mbappe first arrived at PSG, it was Neymar who was the top dog. Don't believe me? Why not listen to the words of Unai Emery in 2018 after he had already departed PSG for Arsenal? At PSG, the leader is Neymar. At Manchester City, it's Pep Guardiola. My priority was to make Neymar happy. It didn't matter how. Truly, it was Neymar's world, and it seemed that he was simply just allowing everyone else to live in it. That was until 1 year later, when Mbappe joined the club of 18-year-old World Cup final scorers and became the face of the new generation. There was a power shift. Now, we obviously can't be sure about what happened with PSG and what the whole team dynamic was here, but what we can be sure of is that there was friction. There are moments when we are the best friends in the world, and others when we talk less. But there is a lot of respect. The words of Mbappe when speaking on Neymar. Mbappe would go on to sign a mega contract with PSG in 2022 worth around 700,000 euros per week, up to 2024, with the option to extend a further year. The reported perks of said contract were that he would have influence on certain sporting decisions of the club and have the final say on future extensions. Maybe this is what turned Neymar sour on his buddy, who knows. What we do know is that as Mbappe grew in prominence, there were rumors that he was pushing for Neymar to be sold, as there was no room for the both of them at the club. Here's a screenshot of just a random Instagram page quoting a L'Equipe article that said just that. Neymar liked the post. Meanwhile, Messi was being held in some dark room being forced to apologize for going to Saudi Arabia. Anyway, 2 years later, and both Neymar and Messi are no longer in Europe, replaced by Mbappe's mates Ousmane Dembele and Randal Kolo Muani, and Gonçalo Ramos. And I would say that PSG have had a good season. They have won Liga and they've gotten to a Champions League semi-final, and other than this whole Mbappe situation, there's been no real drama. I mean, 80 million for Kolo Muani and 65 million for Ramos is criminal, but we're not pressing charges in this video. Luis Enrique seems to have done a good job so far, and from what I've been able to ascertain, there's more faith in him than there has been for several previous coaches. He is a coach of a certain caliber. And when I've watched PSG, there does seem to be control that's been maybe lacking in the past. There is a lot to be optimistic for PSG supporters going forward, I would say. No more mega personalities at the club, no more players that are larger than the entire organization. They've just freed up a lot of wage money, which they're gonna need in order to make some key signings in key areas. After all, they have lost about 40 plus guaranteed goals per season. I think we're all installed for a mega summer for PSG. If I were a PSG fan, I'd be hoping for a summer akin to 2012. Ibrahimovic, Verratti, Thiago Silva, Lucas Moura, Thiago Motta. It was a good window. This upcoming one, it could be too. Who knows? Things are on the up, I'd say. Mbappe has been on the Real Madrid radar for what seems like ages now. In his autobiography, Je m'appelle Kyllian Mbappe, released 2021, he detailed how when he was 13 in 2012, he went to Madrid for a trial with the club and was wined and dined even all the way back then. Zinedine Zidane, who was the sporting director at the time, picked him up from the airport. From there, Zidane drove him in his personal car to the Santiago Bernabeu. He was given a stadium tour, and he took pictures with Cristiano Ronaldo and the rest of Mourinho's star-studded squad. Can you imagine having this kind of experience as a 13-year-old? There were no doubts that Madrid knew that this guy was something special. Despite this, he remained in France and signed for Monaco, a shrewd decision from his parents. They believed it was important for him to kickstart his career in his native France and that the opportunities of his dreams would soon come. There was no need to rush. Fast forward to 2017 and Kylian Mbappe was now the talk of the town. Mbappe, he is so fast. The words of Pep Guardiola. When I first saw him, I said, it's Pele. The words of Arsene Wenger, who claims he had the chance to sign Mbappe for free when he was still at Monaco. That's yet another player added to the Arsene Wenger almost signed him 11. The 19-year-old was on the move. Everyone knew it. And Real Madrid were keen to bring him over. They offered 180 million for him. That has to be some kind of feeling. But he never went. Why? Because it wasn't the best move for his development. Again, another instance of his personal team making the right moves for him, and this is just a very constant theme in this guy's life. I really do hope that his parents, his agents, and everyone in between is getting their fair share, because everything about this guy is just perfect from a sporting and commercial perspective. If he were to move to Real Madrid at that point, he would have faced competition for starting positions from Karim Benzema, Gareth Bale, Marco Asensio, and his idol, Cristiano Ronaldo. The opportunity to play with these guys alone would probably be enough for most people to jump ship. Instead, he chose Paris Saint Germain, a team who were consistent Champions League performers, the biggest club in all of France, and whose talisman were a 30-year-old Edinson Cavani and a newly acquired Neymar. This is the project that will help me develop while I win titles. From the very beginning, he did not hide the fact that this was a stepping stone. But at the same time, just to play a bit of devil's advocate here and go against the grain of people that hate PSG and Qatar, there is a strong argument to say that this transfer shouldn't have been as controversial as it was at the time. After all, Kylian Mbappe was now an established superstar and he was coming back to his hometown. Yeah, it was for a huge amount of money and FFP was involved later on, but we don't talk about that. Fast forward to today and Mbappe has joined the biggest club to ever exist. Look at this image right here. This is Real Madrid's potential starting 11 for next season. I know it's possible that it doesn't look like this and some may leave, some may not, but this right here is the definition of unfair. It's an Avengers level threat. They have just won La Liga with no striker and have gotten to a Champions League final too. Jude Bellingham has been sublime. Vinicius is the player we were promised he would be all those years ago. Rodrigo is king clutch and has ice in his veins. Camavinga is a Swiss knife. Valverde is a Swiss knife. Tchouameni is a Swiss knife and a smooth operator. Güler is sensational. Brahim has improved greatly. Lunin has made everyone forget about Thibaut Courtois, and Toni Kroos is German. I mean efficient. And now they have Mbappe. There's been a lot of talk of just how Kylian Mbappe will integrate into this Real Madrid team and if it will actually happen due to egos, due to everything in between. But I wouldn't worry about that because you see, Real Madrid have harvested something more powerful than anything you could ever imagine. The power of friendship. A joke that stemmed from the fact that Madrid failed to win their 10th Champions League for over a decade despite spending big and not even making it to the semi-finals for most of those years. Many felt that this was because the dressing room was full of toxic power dynamics. We all remember the Mourinho days, I'm sure. Once they were able to let go of ego and play for each other, they managed to break their duck. And this was thanks to none other than Carlo Ancelotti all the way back in 2014. They proceeded to win a further 3 UCL titles with the same group of players who were managed by Ancelotti's assistant, Zidane, and when things started to turn sour again and egos dominated the dressing room, many players left, but Carlo Ancelotti returned. The togetherness then returned to the team, this time with a completely new crop of talent. A lot of what I've said about Mbappe and what we're being fed about Mbappe in the media, it may indicate to some people that he's a problem. You know, the Neymar stuff, the mega contract stuff, the sporting director stuff, whatever it might be. But I'm inclined to believe that that won't be a problem at the Santiago Bernabeu. I think that his teammates are going to hold him very accountable, and if they don't, the fans certainly will. They'll humble him very quickly. I expect nothing other than a smooth integration. But just to add a few words about the on-the-pitch situation, Mbappe has historically operated as a winger, but in recent years has looked to move towards the 9 role. While I don't personally think that's where he excels due to his ability to exploit less crowded spaces, I'm sure there is a plan here. Again, no pure striker, but this time Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Mbappe causing havoc and constantly switching, all while Bellingham makes those late runs. We won't know until we see it in real time, I guess, but I think we're in for a whirlwind of a time, and I personally cannot wait. La Liga and the rest of Europe though, I think they can. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys think about Real Madrid, Mbappe, PSG, and this whole situation. It is a crazy one and can't wait to see what happens. Anyway, that's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.